Amongst the demons of Infernis, perhaps the one of the most uttered phrases, "To reign is not only worth ambition, but the power to secure it." And this idiom perfectly describes the treacherous politics of Infernis. For in this place, the only way to rise in power is to tear your opponents limb from limb. The chattel are the souls of those who served the Red Monarch and the Tartarian court in life. Those who give praise to the Dark One are unaware of this fate, and due to the curse given upon indoctrination, they wouldn't even believe it, even if the evidence was overwhelming. Those who are a part of the chattel work tirelessly in the strip mines of their demonic masters, and used as a resource that is traded amongst the demonic warlords and punished severally for the slightest misstep. Knights are the base level of the demonic hierarchy, tasked with working the chattel, as well as fighting in the eternal conflict against the Siavi. Knights are the first stage of life, so to speak, amongst demons, as they erupt from the cracked earth of Infernis like a geyser of black smoke, with knowledge of the most common language of the demons, Low Goetic, as well as all human languages, before they go through formal training and education. It is possible to rise to even greater heights in the Red Monarch's personal army, the Horsemen of Calamity. But to join is to be the most bloodthirsty and wrathful, as well as talented in the ways of war in the demonic legions of the calamities of war, death, pestilence, and famine. Captains are knights that have fought their way to a place of power in demon society, and have therefore earned in the eyes of their warlords the ability to have authority over the knights in the fortress where they guide them to their tasks. Captains can also be initiated into special jobs in demon society, such as the Tithe Lords of Famine or the Dirgic Bards of the Calamity of Death. However, that is uncommon for them to be chosen for such prestigious positions. Traitors are the great generals of Infernis' armies, as the Tartarian court decrees that something on earth requires Infernis to interfere directly, or just to spread ruin amongst the world. Traitors are the demonic leaders that answers that call. A legion of 4,005 demons muster under their banner, and sometimes when their fortresses' coffers are full, may employ a most esteemed Dirgic Bard to muster the resolve of the legion and their wrath. When not answering the call of war, praetors serve as the second highest authority in a demon fortress. Demons who reach this point has shown their mettle in strategic genius above or equal to that of another praetor, or defeat them in the glorious and esteemed rite of Kajag Ind, or warrior pit in the human tongue. It is also known that praetors do split off from their master's fortress to create their own and become warlords themselves. Among the grand fortresses that churn out war material for Infernis in the eternal conflict, it is the warlords that rule over these fortresses, ordering their denizens to perform their bidding and to pay the infernal tithe in which all fortresses pay. This tithe could be paid in soldiers, Tartarian steel, the oil of Lethe, weapons of war, or the precious Stygian iron. Of not meeting the tithe or refusing to pay without reason is a swift and glorious death by the horsemen or their leader Kainan. These fortresses can oversee smaller bastions led by praetors that have left their master's fortress, or outposts led by captains, all play an important role in the production of resources for the eternal conflict. Warlords are also capable of reaching the title of tyrant and membership in the Tartarian court itself. Tyrants are the best of the warlords who have either defeated another tyrant or have been chosen by their overlord. A tyrant's job is to make sure their warlords pay the tithe and to make sure their fiefdom prospers. Another responsibility is to hither the call of the Tartarian conclave, a meeting of Infernis elite, consisting of Conflictus Aeternus, All demons look longingly at the thrones of the Tartarian court, but they all lust over the power and glory of an overlord, and to sit upon the iron seat of war, the greedy chair of famine, the rotten pedestal of pestilence, or the grim throne of death. Ruling from their citadels, the role of an overlord is hard to keep, because if your serfs start to believe you are weak or do not deserve your seat, that could lead to a demon plotting to ascend to your throne or outright declaring their intentions and leading a great amount of their followers to tear that overlord off of the throne and ending their life to take their place. Although rare, such is the tale of Overlord Barthamus, who after surviving the plunge into the river Styx, gained control over the ostentatious Asher, becoming something of a folk hero to all of demonkind. All overlords are granted direct commune with their calamity, and in most cases, the four calamities view their subservient overlord with respect or even equality, which is a great accomplishment in Infernis, as all demons crave the approval of their calamity and the Red Monarch himself. The four current reigning overlords are as follows: Barthamus, Overlord of War; Nergal, Overlord of Pestilence; Paimon, Overlord of Famine; and Mors, Overlord of Death. In the realm of Infernis, the chattel constructs great fortresses and places of power, monuments of their own miserable existence. These such places are inhabited by demons, which, depending on size, could be led by a praetor, a captain, or even an overlord. Not all of the infernal war material is harvested or produced in the fortresses of the demon warlords. Most come from the multitude of small outposts dotted across the domains of the demonic warlords. These such places could specialize in carving raw Tartarian steel out of the rocky soils of Infernis, or pumping precious molten Stygian iron out of the river Styx, or Lethean oil out of the river Lethe. These such places are inhabited by mostly chattel and demon knights, all led by a captain. Outposts then transport their bounty to Bastion in exchange for Infernis's profane currency, the Gotia, or more chattel for the mines. Bastions are the places in their warlords' fiefdoms where the raw materials are turned into weapons of war for the legions of Infernis. Here, great smokestacks belch black smoke, and raw Tartarian steel is melted down, casted and forged into armor, blades, firearms, and great siege weapons. And Lethean oil is put into barrels, and either burned in the great blast furnaces, or shipped off to their master's fortress with the rest of the bastions tribute to their warlords in return for Gotius. So that the bastion's praetor master may pay his demonic servants for their loyalty or trade amongst other demon settlements. The demonic residents are made up of a multitude of knights, 10 captains, and 1 praetor. It is also common for a fortress to begin its existence as a bastion, before gaining enough influence to be recognized as a fortress. Fortresses are the seats of power for a warlord. Here warlords manage their armies and organize their fiefdoms. Here bastions pay their tribute in war material and other manufactured infernal materials. In return, they receive payment for their loyalty. This material is either used to grow a warlord's army or domain, or to pay the infernal tithe to the Stygian court, to stave off the wrath of the Red Monarch and the Horsemen. Among these fortresses, there are a multitude of demon knights, 20 demon captains, 4 praetors, and a warlord. Strongholds are the fortresses of the tyrants. These towering structures can also be a conduit of the power of the 4 calamities. In that sense, a stronghold of war may contain a great laboratory where new weapons of weapons are created by the eccentric mind of demon war engineers. Under Stronghold of Pestilence could contain great plague labs where plague priests create new bioweapons to utilize upon the Red Monarch's spiritual and physical threats alike. A Stronghold of Famine could contain great treasuries where the Tithe Lords manage the resources gained from the tithe before sent to Pandemonium. And lastly, the strongholds of death may contain a great amphitheatre in which the Dagic bards practice their profane melodies. Citadels are the great fortresses of the overlords. These grand and imposing structures stand tall and imposing in the desolate landscape of Infernis, all constructed after the grand and imposing architecture of Pandemonium. Here, overlords manage their domain and serve as their calamity's right hand. Along with one of the 4 calamities and overlords, there dwells a bewildering multitude of knights, 80 captains, and 8 praetors.